Bruce Lee walked into a gym full of bodybuilders. Arnold Schwarzenegger made a mistake he'd never forget. The day two legends collided. Venice Beach, California. Summer of 1973. Gold's Gym, the mecca of bodybuilding. Inside, the air is thick with the smell of sweat, iron, and ambition. Massive men with arms like tree trunks grunt and strain under impossible weights. This is their domain, their temple, their world. And into this world walks a man who weighs 140 pounds. Bruce Lee pushes through the front door, and the entire gym goes quiet. Not silent. The weights still clang. The music still plays. But there's a shift in the atmosphere. Heads turn. Conversations pause. Because everyone recognizes him. Bruce Lee is at the peak of his fame. Enter the Dragon has just been released and is breaking box office records worldwide. He's the biggest martial arts star on the planet. But here in Gold's Gym, surrounded by men who've dedicated their lives to building muscle, he looks impossibly small. Near the back of the gym, a 26-year-old Austrian bodybuilder named Arnold Schwarzenegger is finishing his set. He's just won his fourth consecutive Mr. Olympia title. His arms measure 22 inches around. His chest is enormous. He is quite literally one of the strongest men on earth. Arnold watches Bruce Lee enter. He smiles. And he makes a decision that will change both their lives. The clash of philosophy. Bruce Lee isn't here by accident. He's obsessed with physical conditioning, constantly researching new training methods. He's heard about Gold's Gym, about the revolutionary techniques bodybuilders use. He wants to learn, to absorb what's useful, to add it to his own training. But there's a problem. In 1973, the bodybuilding world and the martial arts world don't respect each other. Bodybuilders see martial artists as small, weak, more concerned with fancy movements than real strength. Martial artists see bodybuilders as slow, inflexible, all show and no function. The two communities exist in parallel universes, each convinced of their own superiority. Bruce Lee walks through the gym, observing the equipment, watching the techniques. Some bodybuilders nod respectfully. Others smirk. One massive powerlifter mutters something about movie muscles, just loud enough for Bruce to hear. Bruce ignores it. He's used to skepticism. He approaches a bench press station and asks the man using it about his training routine. The bodybuilder, surprised by Bruce's genuine interest, starts explaining his program. That's when Arnold Schwarzenegger walks over. The Austrian oak meets the dragon. Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1973 is not yet a movie star. He's a bodybuilder, pure and simple. But he's charismatic, confident, and has an ego the size of California. He's also genuinely curious about Bruce Lee. "So you're the famous Kung Fu man," Arnold says. His thick Austrian accent, unmistakable. His smile is friendly, but there's something else in his eyes. Challenge perhaps, or amusement. Bruce turns to face him. The contrast is almost comical. Arnold towers over Bruce by nearly a foot. He outweighs him by at least 100 pounds of solid muscle. Next to Arnold, Bruce Lee looks like a child. "And you're the famous bodybuilder," Bruce replies calmly. They shake hands. Arnold's hand completely engulfs Bruce's. The other bodybuilders gather around, sensing something is about to happen. Arnold, ever the showman, decides to have some fun. "You know, Bruce, you should try lifting some real weight. Build some real muscle. Those kicks are great for movies, but real strength that comes from here." He flexes his bicep. It swells to impossible proportions. The other bodybuilders laugh and nod in agreement. Bruce Lee doesn't react. He simply studies Arnold's arm with the same analytical gaze he uses when studying opponents. "Impressive," Bruce says quietly. "Very impressive. But tell me, Arnold, how fast can you move that arm?" The demonstration. Nobody expected. Arnold laughs. "Fast enough. You want to see?" He throws a few mock punches in the air. Surprisingly quick for a man his size, but nothing compared to a trained fighter. Bruce nods thoughtfully. "Now let me show you something." He asks Arnold to hold out his arm. Extended, muscles tensed. Arnold obliges, amused, expecting Bruce to try to move his arm or demonstrate some pressure point technique. Instead, Bruce steps back about 5 feet. He assumes his fighting stance, side-facing, weight-balanced, hands up. "Don't move your arm," Bruce instructs. "Just keep it there, and don't drop it, no matter what." Arnold grins at the other bodybuilders. This little man thinks he can do something to the arm of a Mr. Olympia champion. This should be entertaining. Bruce takes one step forward and executes a straight lead punch. His signature technique. His fist travels maybe 18 inches, moving so fast it's nearly invisible. It strikes Arnold's extended forearm. The sound is like a gunshot. Arnold's arm is knocked backward violently. His entire body rotates from the impact. He stumbles, catches himself, and stares at Bruce Lee with an expression nobody in Gold's Gym has ever seen on Arnold Schwarzenegger's face before. Shock. The gym is completely silent now. Every single person has stopped what they're doing. Arnold looks at his forearm. There's already a red mark forming where Bruce's fist connected. He flexes his arm experimentally, feeling the ache spreading through the muscle. "What the hell was that?" Arnold asks. But his tone has changed. The mockery is gone. This is genuine curiosity now, mixed with something that might be respect. "Speed," Bruce says simply. "Power isn't just about muscle mass. It's about speed, timing, and precision. Your arm has great strength, but it's also a large target moving relatively slowly. My punch is smaller, but it moves faster than your nervous system can react to protect itself." The challenge escalates. One of Arnold's training partners, a massive powerlifter named Franco Colombo, steps forward. Franco is Arnold's best friend and fellow Mr. Olympia competitor. He's also fiercely protective of Arnold's reputation. "Very impressive trick," Franco says, his Italian accent thick. "But this is not fighting. This is just hitting someone who isn't ready. Let's see what happens when Arnold knows the punch is coming." Bruce considers this. The atmosphere in the gym has shifted from curiosity to genuine tension. This could go badly. Bruce isn't here to fight. He's here to learn, to build bridges between different training philosophies. But he also knows that backing down now would reinforce every stereotype these bodybuilders have about martial artists, that they're all flash and no substance, good for choreographed movie fights, but useless in real confrontations. "All right," Bruce says. "Arnold, I'll throw the same punch at the same target. You can prepare however you want. Tense your muscles, brace yourself, whatever you think will help." Arnold's competitive nature kicks in. He's been challenged in his own gym, in front of his peers. He nods. "Let's do it." Strength versus speed. Arnold assumes a ready position. He extends his arm again, but this time he's prepared. Every muscle in his body tenses. His forearm becomes like iron, reinforced by the stabilizing strength of his entire frame. He breathes deep, focuses, and nods. "Ready." Bruce takes the same stance, same distance, same position. But this time, everyone knows it's coming. Arnold's eyes are locked on Bruce's fist. He's ready to absorb the impact, to prove that bodybuilder strength can withstand martial artist speed. Bruce moves, even knowing it's coming, even watching for it. Nobody actually sees the punch travel. One moment Bruce is standing still. The next moment his fist has already made contact and withdrawn. The crack echoes through the gym again. Arnold's arm is knocked back even harder than before. Despite all his preparation, despite all his strength, despite knowing exactly what was coming, he couldn't stop it. The impact travels up his arm, through his shoulder, into his chest. He staggers back 2 steps this time. The watching bodybuilders are stunned into silence. Arnold slowly brings his arm back to his side. He's breathing hard, and not from exertion, from adrenaline. He rubs his forearm, and when he pulls his hand away, there's already visible swelling. For a long moment, nobody speaks. Then Arnold does something that surprises everyone, including Bruce Lee. He laughs, a genuine full-throated laugh. "Okay," Arnold says, shaking his head in amazement. "Okay, you made your point. That is incredible. How is this possible?" The lesson begins, and just like that, the tension evaporates. Arnold's ego is big, but his hunger to learn is bigger. If there's a physical technique he doesn't understand, he wants to understand it. That's how he became Mr. Olympia 4 times. That's how he'll eventually become one of the biggest movie stars on the planet. Bruce's expression softens. This is what he came for. Not to humiliate, but to educate. It's physics, Bruce explains. Force equals mass times acceleration. You have tremendous mass, Arnold. But acceleration, speed squared. That's where the real power comes from. My fist weighs less than your bicep, but it accelerates to maximum velocity in a fraction of a second. That's where the impact comes from. He gestures to Arnold's physique. Your muscles are built for lifting, for sustained tension, for maximum force over time. That's incredible for what you do. But fighting requires explosive power, maximum force in minimum time. Different goals, different training. Arnold is fascinated. His analytical mind is already processing this information, comparing it to what he knows about biomechanics and muscle physiology. "Show me more," Arnold says. An unexpected friendship. For the next hour, Bruce Lee gives an impromptu demonstration to the assembled bodybuilders. He explains the principles of Jeet Kune Do: efficiency, directness, simplicity. He shows them how a smaller, faster opponent can defeat a larger, stronger one through superior positioning, timing, and technique. But he also asks questions. He wants to know about their training routines, their nutrition protocols, their approach to building maximum muscle mass. Because Bruce Lee is always learning, always absorbing what is useful, Arnold, for his part, is completely engaged. He asks Bruce to demonstrate techniques again and again, trying to understand the mechanics. He asks about training methods, about flexibility, about how Bruce maintains such low body fat while building functional strength. A mutual respect develops. These are two men at the absolute peak of their respective disciplines, each recognizing mastery in the other. As the session winds down, Arnold makes an observation. "You know, Bruce, we are not so different. You and me, we both believe in pushing the body to its limits. We both train every day, obsessively. We both want to be the best in the world at what we do. The methods are different, but the mindset is the same." Bruce nods slowly. He's never thought of it that way before, but Arnold's right. Both of them are extremists in their pursuit of physical excellence. Both have been told their goals are impossible. Both have proven everyone wrong. "Perhaps we can learn from each other," Bruce suggests. "I think we already have," Arnold replies. The training sessions that changed both men. Over the next few weeks, Bruce Lee becomes a regular visitor to Gold's Gym, and Arnold Schwarzenegger begins studying martial arts with Bruce. The arrangement is simple. Bruce teaches Arnold about speed, explosive power, and flexibility. Arnold teaches Bruce about maximum strength training, muscle building, and the mental discipline required to push past physical limits. Arnold learns that flexibility and mobility aren't weaknesses. They're essential for functional strength. He starts incorporating stretching and martial arts movements into his routine. He discovers that his massive muscles have been limiting his range of motion, making him vulnerable in certain positions. Bruce learns that properly applied resistance training can enhance, not hinder, martial arts performance. He begins using heavier weights in his training, developing even more explosive power. He studies Arnold's approach to nutrition and recovery, refining his own protocols. But more importantly, they learn something else: that the walls between different physical disciplines are artificial. That bodybuilding and martial arts, rather than being opposed philosophies, can complement each other perfectly. Arnold will later credit Bruce Lee with teaching him the importance of speed and flexibility, qualities that will serve him well when he transitions to action movies. Bruce incorporates several of Arnold's strength training principles into his own regimen, developing even more functional power. The private sparring session. One evening, after the gym has closed, Arnold asks Bruce a question that's been on his mind since their first meeting. "Bruce, that first day you hit my arm. But what if we actually fought? Really fought? Not demonstration, not training. What would happen?" Bruce considers this carefully. "Arnold, in a real fight, size and strength matter. They matter a lot. If you got your hands on me, you could crush me. Your strength is real, not movie magic." Arnold nods. But you'd have to catch me first. And before you could, I'd have already hit you 30 times in places you can't protect with muscle. Eyes, throat, groin, joints, nerves. Fighting isn't about being stronger. It's about being effective." "Show me," Arnold says. They clear a space in the gym. This isn't a challenge or a competition. This is two masters of different disciplines, genuinely curious about how their skills would interact. They square off, Arnold in a basic boxing stance, Bruce in his signature Jeet Kune Do position. What happens next is fascinating. Arnold, despite his size, moves with surprising agility. He's been training with Bruce for weeks now, and it shows. His footwork is better. His hands are faster. But Bruce is in a different category entirely. Bruce flows around Arnold's attacks like water around a boulder. He doesn't try to match strength with strength. Instead, he uses angles, distance, and timing. He taps Arnold's body lightly, temple, solar plexus, floating rib, knee, demonstrating where real strikes would land. Arnold manages to corner Bruce once, using his size to cut off escape routes. For a moment, his superior strength becomes relevant, but Bruce simply drops below Arnold's reach, sweeps his leg, and Arnold finds himself stumbling, off balance, vulnerable. They stop. They are breathing hard, but both are smiling. "You see the problem?" Bruce asks. "In a real fight, you have every physical advantage except the ones that matter most, speed and training. But if you trained in fighting as seriously as you train in bodybuilding, you'd be terrifying." Arnold helps Bruce to his feet. "And if you trained in building muscle as seriously as you train in fighting, you'd probably still be faster than me, but with more power behind it." They both laugh. The philosophy that bridged two worlds. That night, sitting in the empty gym, Bruce and Arnold have a conversation that neither will ever forget. Arnold talks about his journey from Austria to America, about being told his accent was too thick, his body too muscular, his dreams too big, about refusing to accept limitations, about believing he could become Mr. Olympia when everyone said it was impossible. Bruce talks about being rejected by Hollywood for being too Chinese, about creating his own path when every door was closed, about proving that a 140-pound man could be a credible action hero in a world that worshipped size. They realize they've been fighting the same battle from different angles. The battle to redefine what's possible, to break stereotypes, to prove that dedication and intelligence matter more than fitting into conventional expectations. "You know what the funny thing is?" Arnold says. "The world tells me I'm too big. The world tells you you're too small. But we're both exactly the right size for what we do." Bruce smiles. "Be water, my friend. Don't let anyone else define your shape." Arnold doesn't fully understand the reference yet, but he will. Years later, when he's transitioning from bodybuilding to acting, when people tell him he's too muscular to be a movie star, he'll remember this conversation. He'll remember Bruce Lee, the man who proved that being different isn't a weakness, it's a weapon. The impact that lasts forever. The training sessions between Bruce Lee and Arnold Schwarzenegger last for several months in 1973. Then, tragically, they end. On July 20, 1973, Bruce Lee dies suddenly, at age 32. Arnold is devastated. He's lost not just a teacher, but a friend. Someone who understood what it meant to be completely dedicated to physical excellence, to refuse to accept the limitations others tried to impose. At Bruce's funeral, Arnold is one of the pallbearers. He carries Bruce's coffin alongside James Coburn, Steve McQueen, and other close friends. As he performs this final service, he thinks about those sessions at Gold's Gym, about the lessons Bruce taught him, not just about fighting, but about breaking barriers. In the years that follow, Arnold's career transforms in ways nobody could have predicted. He becomes one of the biggest movie stars on the planet, starring in action films that require not just size, but speed, agility, and martial arts skills. The flexibility training Bruce taught him serves him well. The philosophy Bruce shared about adapting, evolving, refusing to be contained by others' expectations becomes Arnold's guiding principle. In interviews, Arnold often mentions Bruce Lee. He tells the story of their first meeting, of the punch that taught him respect for martial arts. He credits Bruce with teaching him that true strength isn't just about muscle mass. It's about speed, flexibility, and the mind-body connection, the legacy of two legends. Today, the fitness world takes it for granted that martial artists should lift weights and bodybuilders should train in flexibility and agility. Mixed training is standard. The artificial walls between disciplines have mostly crumbled, but in 1973, those walls were solid. Bodybuilders and martial artists existed in separate universes, each convinced of their own superiority. Two men, one impossibly large, one seemingly small, broke through those walls, not through competition or dominance, but through mutual respect and willingness to learn. Arnold Schwarzenegger taught Bruce Lee that building strength doesn't mean sacrificing speed, that bodybuilding principles could enhance martial arts performance. Bruce Lee taught Arnold Schwarzenegger that size isn't everything, that speed and technique could overcome raw strength, that true mastery requires humility and constant learning. When Bruce Lee walked into Gold's Gym in 1973, he was already a legend. When Arnold Schwarzenegger made his mistake, assuming that muscle mass alone determined fighting ability, he got a lesson that changed his life. But the real story isn't about who was stronger or faster. It's about two champions, each at the peak of their power, choosing to learn from each other rather than compete with each other. Bruce Lee's philosophy was simple: absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, add what is specifically your own. That day at Gold's Gym, two legends absorbed what was useful from each other, and both became greater for it. The lesson for all of us: the story of Bruce Lee and Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't just about martial arts or bodybuilding. It's about what happens when we let go of ego and embrace learning. Arnold could have dismissed Bruce as too small, too different, not worth his time. Bruce could have refused to learn from bodybuilders, maintaining that martial arts alone were sufficient. Both would have been smaller for it. Instead, they recognized mastery in each other. They asked questions. They practiced together. They built a friendship based on mutual respect and shared dedication to excellence. And that's the real lesson. Greatness doesn't come from dominating your field. It comes from learning from every field, from absorbing what's useful, from recognizing that wisdom exists in unexpected places. Bruce Lee walked into a gym full of bodybuilders weighing 140 pounds. Arnold Schwarzenegger made the mistake of judging him by size alone. 8 weeks later, Arnold was a better athlete for having known Bruce, and Bruce had refined his training to new levels of effectiveness. They didn't fight to prove who was better. They trained together to make both better. That's what separates champions from legends. Champions prove they're the best. Legends prove that there's always more to learn. Be water, indeed. And never stop flowing toward new knowledge, new techniques, new understanding, even when it comes from someone completely different from you. That's what Bruce Lee taught Arnold Schwarzenegger in the summer of 1973. And it's a lesson that never gets old.